Welcome back to the Lemon Factor. I'm Chad, and today we're taking our 2019 Honda Accord 2.0 Touring back to the dyno. This time, we're going to test our modifications on the stock ECU tune. So what I mean by that is, up until now, we've had our car modified with the Phearable Stage 3 ECU tune. We've added the PRL high volume air intake, the version 1. We then added the Mishimoto Intercooler, and then we more recently added the PRL high volume downpipe. And throughout each one of those steps, I showed you how to install the modifications, and we took it to the dyno to find out exactly how much horsepower each one of the modifications made on the dyno. This time, we're removing the Phearable Stage 3. So for whatever reason, if you are interested in modifying your car, but you're a little leery of performing the tune, you don't want to get a KTuner, you don't want to do the KTuner Stage 1 or 2, you don't want to add the Phearable Stage 3 tune, you just want to do the hard modifications like the air intake, intercooler, and downpipe, exhaust, whatever that might be, but you're wondering, you're curious, you really want to know, are you going to get any improvement as far as horsepower and torque gains? We're going to find out exactly how much horsepower you can gain just with the simple modifications we've already installed on our 10th generation Honda Accord. So if you're interested in finding out, then stay tuned. Don't forget, please consider subscribing, turn on notifications. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you find value from this information, if you find value in the direction we're going with the channel, please consider becoming a patron of the channel. $3 to $5 a month. Very small, automatic payments, you know, cumulative. If a whole bunch of you do that, that certainly would help out a lot. In lieu of that, consider hitting the super thanks button below the video or videos as you watch them. You say, hey, Chad, you know, you saved me a lot of either money or time, expense, whatever it might be. said, we did gain some horsepower and some torque. You can see here that roughly 3,300 RPMs, 3,500 RPMs and above, we've gained throughout the RPM range. And even below 3,300 RPMs, what I like is not that we've necessarily lost any horsepower, but the curve is much smoother. Which one of these three modifications really produced the big gains? For those of you who've been a long-time subscriber, you know that we did a series where we reviewed a whole bunch of air intakes and we've put them on the dyno. So we already know that when it comes to the air intake, the PRL high volume air intake, you don't gain much at all. So I don't think it's coming from that. We know that at least with the tune, we're gaining some sizable gains from the intercooler. So it definitely could be coming from the intercooler, keeping things nice and cool throughout the dyno pull. The downpipe, that's a more recent video release. If you haven't seen that, take a look at the video, but not too much to gain there. Now that we've put the stock tune back on, flashback to stock, I'd like to take the car back to Bandimere Speedway, the quarter-mile track, and do some data logging on the stock tune. I want to see what our data log reveals, especially as far as K control numbers, and compare that to the Phearable Stage 3. I also would like to do some 0 to 60 pulls and see how that compares. So far, Phearable Stage 3 seems fine on the street. The Phearable Stage 3, in my situation, could be different for you, doesn't like the quarter mile above 80 miles per hour, and the K control numbers definitely increase when going through the gears from a dig from 0 to 60. So by keeping the stock ECU on, I like to see what results we have here. What we may end up having to do is either get the car custom tuned, which we're going to do anyway, or when we take it to the track, when we do some aggressive driving, the recommendation would be to put some E85 in, you know, with your tank of gas. We're going to test that out too. So if we find that E85 helps, I'll relay that information. So more testing to be done, but I'd like to see how the car performs with our modifications on the stock tune. So I think we're done for today. Thank you very much for joining, and until next time.